Thank you for joining me, Ashwin Berry, on NMH at 1, where we highlight the news making waves in Namibia and beyond, ranging from current affairs to community stories, sports and economic news. Coming up in this broadcast, Swakopmund's DRC informal settlement receives electricity. No secrecy in green hydrogen, Kandjoze insists. And Kenyan sets himself on fire in cost of living protests. Follow all our programs on oneup2.com or DSTV 285 or GoTV 25 in Namibia. Midday news update coming up. The Seeds for the Future opening ceremony was held at the Namibia University of Science and Technology this morning. The program, scheduled for 21 to 28 August, enables 25 Namibian students to obtain valuable ICT knowledge developed by Huawei's headquarters. Minister of Information, Communication and Technology, Pea Mushelenga, had this to say at the program launch.
Gathered here to witness the launch of the Namibia Seeds for Future 2023 program, which is another innovative initiative by Huawei to identify and develop talent in ICT. The Seeds for Future program is a global flagship corporate social responsibility program whose main aim is to cultivate local ICT professionals in the countries where it is operating. This is done by offering undergraduate students training on ICT technologies and solutions and a first-hand working experience of the operations of the dynamic telecommunications company and Chinese culture. In this way, the program will cultivate local ICT talent, promote knowledge transfer, and improve the students' interests and understanding of the telecommunication industry. The Seeds for the Future program is in line with my ministry's digitalization strategy and our mission to provide an efficient national information communication technology delivery framework and maintain national cybersecurity. The program helps cultivate and pull together ICT professionals and students, thus boosting ICT industry growth, driving the development of different sectors, and contributing to lower unemployment rates over the long term. We are grateful to Huawei Telecommunication Technologies Namibia for this initiative.
Right after the break, visual news highlights local stories from across Namibia. Stay with NMH at 1. Let's head into the visual news. The DRC electrification project was launched in Swakopmund yesterday through a collaboration between Erongo Red and the municipality to bring the essential services to the community of DRC. 9 households in the community received electricity as Swakopmund Mayor Dina Namubes urged community members to pay the 2,500 Namibian dollar fee for electricity connection. Desiree Gasses was there.
We recognize the important role that we have, and thus access to land and housing remains our greatest priority. Furthermore, we also take note of the urgent need of electricity as it lessens the burden and, importantly, may decrease the fire outbreaks in this area, especially because the lack of electricity in the informal settlement has been one of the major contributing factors of the fire outbreaks. Therefore, Council requested the Erongo Red to provide electricity to DRC. We are also appreciative of the DRC community for being patient and surviving the cold and darkness until the Almighty enabled the Council and Erongo Red to work together as partners to provide light to your homes. Director of Proceedings, we are cognizant that electricity is the catalyst to economic development, and it should be distributed and supplied to all consumers within their respective areas. Today, as we celebrate this milestone, I'm aware that more needs to be done to ensure that all houses in DRC should have access to electricity, and I would like to implore the community to get started on this project to ensure that they also have access to electricity. Because I am sure that if only a few houses are electrified, we may still have issues of illegal cable connections, and this could be hazard and contribute to more fire outbreaks. Ladies and gentlemen, despite these challenges, the settlement has a vibrant community and unique culture that deserves recognition. I believe you all agree with me.
After the break, Namibian Sun leads us into the newspaper review segment.
Neopaints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neopaints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neopaints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Namibia's status as a net importer of electricity has been blamed for the high power costs households are currently subjected to. The regional electricity distributors have also been accused of contributing to the exorbitant tariffs demanded across the country. Compared to previous years, consumers have seen their spending on electricity skyrocket for less power. A comparative study done by Namibian Sun indicates that pensioners in Windhoek spend slightly more than people residing in low-income areas, while NORAD customers have to make do with one of the highest electricity tariffs in the country. Namibian Sun benchmarked the price of electricity per town and/or RED and found out how much energy uses in terms of units for each $100 Namibian spent. The police have revealed the identity of a driver who rammed his Toyota Hilux Bakkie into a wall at a T-junction in Rundu in the early hours of Tuesday morning. Eliphas Petrus Ndokosho, 52, is a member of the Namibian Defence Force. According to a police report unveiled 24 hours after the incident, the accident took place around 1 a.m. on Tuesday morning when Ndokosho, who was traveling with two passengers, drove recklessly towards the T-junction. This saw the vehicle crossing the road and ramming into a concrete wall. The wall is about 20 meters from the road. Republican ponders the words of Namibia's Petroleum Commissioner Maggie Shino, who said that local content is a must when addressing the oil and gas conference, which ended on Thursday at the Mercure Hotel in Windhoek. The two-day conference attracted more than 700 delegates, including more than 200 international guests. Not only has Namibia recently developed a new policy on local content for the oil industry, but according to Shino, there is also a clause included in the standard agreement that oil companies must sign with the government. A helicopter that crashed in Swakopmund in July, claiming the lives of two men, did not have a valid certificate of airworthiness for South Africa or Namibia. Pilot instructor Jacques Jacobs and aviation maintenance engineer Dirk von Weitz died in the accident near Swakopmund Airport shortly before 4 p.m. on 19 July. According to a preliminary report issued by the Directorate of Aircraft Accidents and Investigations, the helicopter also did not have a permit to carry out test flights. A helicopter that crashed in SWA. Now, far more potential and reserves than previously imagined are said to be contained in the oil and gas deposits of Namibia's west coast. This and more was discussed at this year's Oil and Gas Conference in Windhoek. That is the main story Algemene Zeitung in today's edition opens with. Kudu gas reserves are estimated at 10 trillion TCP. The Shell International Group has found gas deposits near the Graph 1 oil well area. Likewise, Total Energies has discovered other gas reserves in the Yonka area in the Venus 1 area, said Petroleum Commissioner Maggie Shino. On page 2, AZ is attending to the U.S. President's emergency plan for AIDS relief, which yesterday announced a new 5-year project called Reach Namibia with an investment approximately 840 million Namibian dollars. The project will provide health services to orphaned and vulnerable children and youth to keep them AIDS-free. It will be implemented in 8 regions, including the Khomas, Oshana, Omsati, Oshikoto, Ohangwena, and Zambezi regions. The project will provide health services to orphaned and vulnerable children and youth to keep them AIDS-free. Stay with us as we move on with the Namibian after the break.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
According to the Namibian newspaper, northern businessman Joshua Haimbodi has defended campaigning for SWAPO President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah at a funeral in northern Namibia on Sunday. He said those who are unhappy with his comments are supporters of opposition parties, adding that it is irrelevant to campaign at a funeral because death brings people together and that mourners get the message. On its page 3, the paper reports that the rising costs of essential food items encompassing products like vegetables, bread, sugar, meat, dairy, and coffee have ignited a call for the reduction in taxes of these commodities. The month of July saw an alarming surge in food prices, with vegetables experiencing a staggering uptick of 18.1%, bread and cereals escalating by 13.3%, and fruit prices surging by 13.2%. New Era highlights the NIDA Industrial Development Agency, which invested around 1 billion Namibian dollars to construct 148 industrial parks and business complexes, but only 118 are operational. The 30 which remain dormant are mainly due to tenants' failure to honor their financial obligations as far as paying rental fees is concerned, said NIDA spokesperson Weso Nanuseb. The paper's page 3 reports that President Hage Geingob, who is the chairperson of the SADC Organ on Politics, Defense and Security Corporation, said the organ tried its best in promoting regional peace and security for the past year. And the Bank of Namibia has revised the economic growth forecast for 2023 upwards from 3% to 3.3%, an increase of 0.3 percentage points. According to the Namibia Statistics Agency, the domestic economy grew 4.6% in 2022. During the first quarter of 2023, the Namibian economy expanded by 5%. Year to date, the Namibian economy continued with its positive momentum, with increased activity in the mining, livestock, marketing, wholesale and retail trade, communication and tourism sectors, the central bank said. On another positive note, inflation was revised downwards and is now expected to average 5.6% in 2023 from 6.1% between January and July. Inflation averaged 6.2%. Now we swing over to more economic news as we talk green hydrogen after the break.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Green Hydrogen Council Chairperson Kandjoze says government is transparent in its hydrogen dealings and maintains that cabinet is taken into confidence before any agreement is finalized. Kandjoze's comments come against claims around government's handling of $192 billion green hydrogen deal signed with Hydrogen Solutions, the largest investment for Namibia and one of the biggest in Africa. Commentators have raised concerns over the deal amid suggestions that it is secretive. Dismissing such concerns, Kandjoze said any agreement concluded and presented to cabinet was fully scrutinized by a multi-sectoral team involving the council and technocrats assigned and appointed to provide input. As chair of that council, we go through what the submissions are to the Green Hydrogen Council. Once we reject, we send it back. If we uptake and believed that enough was done, we take it to cabinet, he said on the sidelines of a workshop held to discuss the midterm budget review. All agreements entered into have been properly scrutinized, Kandjoze said. Criticism of the Deal Institute for Public Policy Research Executive Director Graham Hopwood has cautioned government on its plan, saying it would be risky for Namibia to make such an investment while little is known about the viability of the green hydrogen proposition. Let's swing over to the economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades at 19.07 next to the US dollar, with 24.24 Namibian dollars getting you £1 British pound. Capricorn Investment Group Limited managed an uptick of 3.20%, whilst these selected NSX stock closing prices maintained their value. Overall index closed down 0.51%, local index closed up 0.52%, and Trustco Group Holdings managed another significant uptick. Looking at commodities, it is upticks across the board, with the most significant coming from platinum and copper. We talk South African politics in News from Africa shortly. An alliance of 7 political parties in South Africa has signed a pact in a bid to unseat the governing African National Congress in the 2024 election. The multi-party charter for South Africa said if they come to power, they would work together and allocate ministerial positions and parliamentary seats. They are also seeking to keep Julius Malema's Economic Freedom Fighters Party from being voted into power. The agreement, initiated by the main opposition Democratic Alliance Party, comes as the country battles an ailing economy, corruption, unemployment, and an unprecedented energy crisis. Analysts say the ANC risks losing its parliamentary majority for the first time since South Africa's return to democracy in 1994. The new bloc, however, has not decided who will be elected president if it is successful in the election. A Kenyan man who is said he was protesting against the high cost of living set himself on fire in the coastal city of Mombasa on Thursday afternoon. He had climbed on top of a statue in the middle of a busy roundabout before setting himself alight. In a video that has since gone viral, the man is seen holding the Kenyan flag. He then shouts out, and in a moment, a huge flame engulfs him. Let's swing over to international news. Several churches were set on fire by a rampaging mob in eastern Pakistan on Wednesday after a Christian family was accused of blasphemy, officials said. Hundreds of people armed with sticks and rocks stormed the predominantly Christian area in Faisalabad city, police in the area told AFP. Images on social media showed smoke rising from the church buildings and people setting fire to furniture that had been dragged from them. The attack was triggered by a group of religious zealots accusing a local Christian family of desecrating the Quran, according to a rescue official who was seen at the scene. Now, evacuation efforts are continuing in the city of Yellowknife, home to 20,000 residents who have been told to leave their homes by noon today. Canadian fire crews on Thursday battled to prevent wildfires from reaching the northern city of Yellowknife, where residents are leaving by car and plane after the evacuation order was declared. Water bombers flew low over Yellowknife as thick smoke blanketed the capital of the vast and sparsely populated Northwest Territories. Stay with us as we head into local sports.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with the entertainment.
Everything was happening during
this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
In local sports, African Stars captain Ronald Kashirere has expressed confidence in his teammates ahead of the CAF Champions League preliminary round against Zambia's Power Dynamos in South Africa. 4 teams remain standing in the Namibian Rugby Premier League, with FNB Wanderers taking on FNB Rehoboth and Trasco United taking on FNB Kudus in the semi-finals at the Hage Geingob Stadium tomorrow. And all these matches will be available on NTV. History will be made tomorrow when the first semi-finals of the Namibian Women's Rugby League takes place at the Hage Geingob Stadium. After years of inactivity, women's rugby was revived last year with some 7s and 10s tournaments taking place. Let's continue the theme of rugby, talking All Blacks in international sport. All Blacks coach Ian Foster said loose forward Shannon Frizzell has joined their injured list as the New Zealand squad departed for the Rugby World Cup on Friday. Speaking to reporters at Auckland Airport before flying to Europe, Foster said Frizzell had tweaked a hamstring during training. United States women's team head coach Vlatko Andonovski has resigned after the side's disappointing World Cup campaign, U.S. Soccer said in a statement. Twila Kilgore, who has worked as assistant coach for the past 18 months, has been named interim head coach while the search for a replacement takes place. Now, skipper Millie Bright said her team was embracing an incredible opportunity to do something an English side has not managed since 1966, win a World Cup. The Lionesses powered into Sunday's final in Sydney against Spain after a ruthless 3-1 dismantling of co-host Australia, with their relentless energy grinding down to Matilda's side, which had a few answers. Stay with us as we head into the highlights from this afternoon's break shortly.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Getting into the highlights from this afternoon's broadcast. An alliance of 7 political parties in South Africa has signed a pact in a bid to unseat the governing African National Congress in the 2024 election. Several churches were set on fire by a rampaging mob in eastern Pakistan on Wednesday after a Christian family was accused of blasphemy, officials said. African Stars captain